Don't believe it's possible to become a millionaire on a modest salary?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Donald Reed was a janitor and a gas station attendant in Vermont, and yet he was able to accumulate a fortune of $8 million. So it's very much possible. It's doable when you commit to making smart money moves and have the right financial strategies. And we'll discuss some of those strategies in this video. And we'll talk numbers and use a calculator to actually simulate how you can save great amount of money on a low salary. Hello friends, Sharan Amit here. On this channel, we talk personal finance and we also review interesting businesses for financial and strategic insights. You get those wow insights and discoveries. Before we start, let's address the elephant in the room. How do you get rich on a low or modest income? Well, for the purpose of this video, let's assume regular average income as somebody earning about $60,000 per year. And what if you earn less than $60,000? Is all hope lost? No, not really. But I would strongly recommend that you first focus on increasing your income a bit. Stay with me. And before this video ends, I'll tell you an easy way of increasing your income by at least 30% or more. But first, let's quickly discuss how somebody earning around $60,000 a year can get started with their wealth journey. Step 1 is having a budget. And the method that I recommend is the 70-20-10 budget. If you have explored budgeting, you must have heard about the 50-30-20 budget plan. This method is pretty simple and it dictates that 50% of your post-tax income should go towards your needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% for savings or investments. But the problem with this approach is that it's simply not practical, particularly for low-income households. See, low-income households, particularly of those living in expensive cities, might have to spend more than 50% of their income for their basic needs. With rents, car payments, and groceries being as expensive as they are, there is simply no way that low-income households can limit their needs or necessary expenses to just 50% of their income. Another problem? Say, let's assume that you live in maybe a relatively low-cost area and your income is around $60,000 and you're actually able to cover all your needs within that 50% of your income. Say you bring home $4,000 every month after taxes. That would mean you have about $2,000 to spend on your needs. Then as per the 50-30-20 method, you have 30% of your income or $1,200 for your wants. Now for somebody following this method religiously, they almost get a license to spend $1,200 on their wants. That is the 30% of their income. They spend it on things like shopping, eating out, travel, something that they did not have to, but they choose to because it's available in the budget. And this will leave them only 20% or $800 per month for savings or investments. In essence, this method sometimes encourages wasteful spending. So what's the solution? I recommend that you follow the 70-20-10 rule. This rule of budgeting is very simple. This says that you have 70% of your income for your needs and wants, all expenses. Then 20% you keep aside for savings and investments. And then you have 10% left where that money should be used for paying off any debt that you have. Let's understand it a little bit more clearly. 70% of your take-home pay should go towards your expenses, all kinds of expenses. So it includes all necessary expenses like housing, transport, grocery, as well as all discretionary spend such as eating out, transport, entertainment. So this method gives you a chunk of money, 70% of your income, for you to spend as you deem fit. So if you're living in an expensive area and your necessary expenses are higher than say 50% of your take home, you can increase that amount, but make sure you do corresponding adjustments so that your total spend, including your discretionary expenses, should be within the 70% mark. Then 20% should be saved or put up for investments. This ensures that whatever might be going on in your life, you're keeping aside some money for your future. We'll talk about just in a bit how you should take this 20% and use it first to create a safeguard for your life and then to supercharge your retirement. The remaining 10% should be used to pay off existing debts. This is a great way to ensure that monthly expenses are allocated appropriately and debt is always being paid down. Once all your regular debt except mortgage is paid down, this 10% should ideally be add it to your savings and investment bucket, making that as 30%. Then you'll have a 70-30 budget. Simple. According to the US Bureau of Labor, an average salary in US was about $60,000 in 2023. Let's assume that you bring in an average salary. So your average take home after taxes would be around $48,000. Again, for an easy calculation, it makes it to about $4,000 per month. Now, following our 70-20-10 method, you will have 20% of that $4,000, that is $800 per month for savings and investments. Pretty doable, right? Now, if you are young or if you have not done the basics, here is how I'll want you to start. Let's take care of the essentials. The very first thing is emergency fund. An emergency fund is a cash reserve that's specifically set aside for unplanned expenses or financial emergencies. Some common examples are car repairs, home repairs, medical bills, or even loss of income, loss of job. This money gives you the confidence to still be able to hand over cash for these unexpected expenses that may come your way. You need to save 3 to 6 months of your necessary expenses in the emergency fund. So what is it? 3 or 6? See, if you are either young or single, 3 months is enough. But if you are a couple or if you have a family to take care of, I recommend having full 6 months of emergency reserves. To calculate how much do you exactly need, remove any discretionary expenses that you might be doing today and only look at the compulsory expenses that you have every month. If it is typically say 50% of your monthly take home, then take that and multiply by the number of months that you want to build your cushion for. Say in our example, if your take home is $4,000 per month and you're spending 50% of that, about $2,000 in your basic, absolutely necessary needs, then that's the amount. And if you're building a cushion for 3 months of emergency fund, then you'll have this 2,000 into 3, that is $6,000 that you'll need your emergency fund. For a 6-month emergency fund, now you need $12,000. So that's step 1, building your emergency fund. And if you're allocating say $800 per month, start saving them, putting them in a high yield savings account. It may take you between 8 to 12 months to build up your emergency fund of $6,000 to $12,000. Spend your first year doing that. It's absolutely required and worth it. As this is being done, you also need to look at something very important: insurance. If you have dependents who depend on your income, life insurance is a must. Even if you're single, you may have family in near future. So do consider insurance. And anyway, it makes sense to buy insurance when you're young. You should only buy term life insurance. So for a $1 million policy, if you're around 30 years or younger, you may spend about $100 a month. Next is investments. So if you start spending $100 a month on insurance and your emergency fund is built, then you are left with about $700 every month towards your savings and investment. See, we are still talking about a much smaller amount, which should practically be possible for anybody who is serious about building his or her financial future. I want you to take this $700 and invest it in simple, low cost, low fee, diversified equity funds, and do it like this. Put $300 towards large cap equity funds, another $300 towards mid cap equity funds, and the final 100 which is left with you, put it towards small cap equity funds. To buy these funds every month, and I suggest you do it automatically, you'll need an account with a brokerage firm like Vanguard, and look for total market index funds that track standard indexes like S&P 500 or NASDAQ. Let's keep the fund allocation very simple like this. In future, as your financial knowledge grows, you will have an opportunity to bring in bonds and international equity into your portfolio mix. But for now, I suggest keep it simple and get started. Historically, such an equity portfolio has given little over 10% per annum returns over a long period of time. Now let's see how this magic gets created. Say you are 30 years old now and you have this average salary of $60,000 per annum before taxes and $4,000 per month after taxes, and you aim to retire in about 30 years. So you have 30 years to build your retirement saving. Let's use a calculator at financialmentor.com to see how our savings could grow. Again, you're contributing about $700 per month, but for a very long period of time, 30 years, and investing in equities. As you can see, in 30 years, you'll put around $250,000 overall into your investments. But here is the magic. Your portfolio would actually grow to be valued at about $1.6 million at the end of 30 years. That's the magic of compounding. But I'm not done yet. See, as you work towards your career, your income is likely to increase. The way it has happened to me in my regular day job is that every year it'll increase by about 2-3%, which is very normal here in the US. But every 5 years, it'll see a sudden jump of 15-20%, either due to a job change or a promotion. Let's be conservative and assume that your income increase consistently at the rate of 5% every year. And let's also assume that you increase your savings also in the same proportion. That is, the amount that you're saving also goes up by 5% every year. Trust me, it's very normal. It happens to every one of us. The increase that is. Savings you have to really work on. Let's put this increase into the same calculator and see what happens. Your portfolio now goes up to almost $2.5 million. Can you believe it? Congratulations. You are going to be a multi-millionaire by saving and investing consistently, even at a low income, for a period of 30 years. I have just one more magic to show you. Remember, we had kept aside that 10% to pay off your debt. Let's assume that either you have no debt or you were able to pay off your debt quickly and bring that extra 10% also in your savings. Another way is that you only spend 60% for your other expenses, still use 10% for pay down, but ensure that 30% of your income goes towards savings and investments. If you're able to do that stretch, see what kind of magic will come in our results. Your portfolio now goes up to $4.3 million. $4.3 million on an average salary of about $60,000 per year at today's rate. It sounds impossible, but numbers don't lie. As you can see, it's possible with a simple saving strategy to have $4 million in your bank down the line, even if you're earning a very average salary. Now keep in mind, we are talking about a long period of about 30 years. Due to inflation, dollar would keep losing value. So that 4.3 million in the bank after 30 years is similar to having about $1.8 million in the banks today. But still a lot of money. Imagine having $1.8 million in your bank account today. Would you feel wealthy? I think so. Would you feel rich? I bet you would. Before we end, I would like to talk to those of you whose income is not yet at that $60,000 per year level. Now, if you're just starting your career in IT or you're a surgeon doing residency, you know that very soon your income will skyrocket, so you can just skip this section. But for others, here is my sincere message. You need to increase your income. You may say, Amit, it's easy for you to say, but how do I increase my income? See, it's gotten much easier in today's world. Let's quickly discuss 3 methods through which you can increase your income. First is very simple. Ask for a raise. Sometimes all it takes is having guts to ask your boss for a significant raise. If they like your work, if they value you, they'll give you more money. If they don't, go ahead and look for a different job where you are appropriately valued. Second method is starting a side hustle. There are several side hustles nowadays that you can do to bring in some side income without necessarily investing too much of your time. If you need some ideas beyond driving for Uber, check out this video of mine. Third, very important, is about learning a new skill and using that skill to earn some extra income online. In today's world, it's become so easy to acquire a valuable skill. You don't even need to attend a school or spend a lot of money. There's so many courses, so many learning opportunities available right here on YouTube for free. Or you may take some formal online course at a very low price. But before taking any course, do your research and find out where you're going to apply that skill and what kind of income can you expect to earn. Here's the bottom line. If you desire to get wealthy, you need to exercise some financial discipline. The lower your income, more disciplined you need to be. Savings is one way to start building your financial security. But investing is something that will really make you rich. And it can be done regardless of your salary. But there is no get rich quick scheme. There is no solution like that. Be prepared to be patient as it takes time. If you found this information valuable, give us a like, a thumbs up, and consider subscribing to this channel. I would also like you to check out this other video of mine. See you next time. Bye.